Hi there, Meekachii here. Today I'm going to be going over the books I finished in June and the ones I plan to read in July. I'm not usually very good at sticking to my TBR list, but I was pretty good this month, or last month, June. I was pretty good at sticking with my June TBR list. I only didn't read one of the books that I anticipated reading, which isn't that bad, so we're gonna go over what I finished. So just as a reminder, don't forget to like the video if you like it. Don't forget to hit that little bell if you're subscribed, letting you know when we come out with new videos. I do a lot of book related videos. I'm gonna be doing more reviews on the books that I read, so don't forget to check that out. The first book I read this month is I Believe in a Thing Called Love by Maureen Gu.
I believe in a thing called... Sorry, I always...
You do that every time.
Every time.
But I got an ebook copy of this to give a review, and it was okay. It wasn't my favorite. I didn't hate it, but I didn't really love it. I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5 on Goodreads. I don't think I'll ever read it again. Basically, it is about a girl who decides to use K-pop TV shows and write like a format on how those TV shows work out and put that into real life in order to get a guy to like her, if that makes sense. And it just seems to me like a lot of the stuff that happens in this book are totally unrealistic. This girl has a lot of bad luck when it comes to guys. It's not realistic. Like, no one person has all this bad stuff happen to them. And on top of that, she's kind of mean, and she does a lot of really messed up things to the guy that she likes in this book. And I feel like because of those two things, it has really skewed my view, and I just had a really hard time connecting with what was going on with the story. So that's about it. I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5. I feel like that's a pretty fair rating for that book. The next book I read is The 100th Queen by Emily King. I was sent this book, but I actually did request it because I was looking forward to reading it. And, you know, the cover's gorgeous, and I'm a sucker for a gorgeous cover. I've talked about this book on my channel before, but quick synopsis: it's a sickly girl, kind of finds a cure for her sickness, ends up going on an unwilling adventure, kind of, and is put through a trial that she doesn't want to really be put through, meets characters along the way, blah, blah, blah. I ended up giving this 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I feel like the middle was a little redundant, and some stuff probably could have been cut out of it, but I did enjoy it, and I really want to see what happens next in the story. Yeah. Next book up is Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. I ended up loving this book. My husband's probably so sick of me talking about it because I kept talking about it the whole time I was reading it. I read it in physical format and listened to it on the audiobook. The audiobook didn't have the best narrator ever, but it wasn't the worst. I feel like a lot of the names and stuff, like, I probably wouldn't have known how to pronounce without that, but I did go back and forth with both because the way that it's written was sometimes hard to tell. It kind of goes between like past and present, and sometimes it's hard to tell because there's really no break. So I did find myself referencing the book quite a bit, but yeah, I mean, the audiobook wasn't that bad if you want to pick up the audiobook. But the story in this was so good. I really loved a lot of the characters. I felt like the character development was really good. The plot was really good. I just can't really fault this book for anything. I really enjoyed it the entire time I was reading it, and I cannot wait for the next one. Next up is Roar by Cora Carmack. I did a separate full review video on this if you want to check that out. I ended up giving this a 3 out of 5 stars. I feel like the story was really cool. The magic system was cool. Some of the characters were cool. I didn't really overly love the main character. It got really redundant for me in the middle. I had a hard time getting through it. It took me way longer to read this book than it should have because I was getting bored, to be quite honest. But there were some things going on that was cool. English.
That was cool.
But I don't know. I feel like I do want to know what happens next in the story, and I did like certain things about the story. I just felt like a lot of it could have been cut out or it could have been condensed. So I did give this a 3 out of 5 stars. Then I read This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. I actually listened to the audiobook of this one, and kind of read the physical book, but mostly the audiobook. The audiobook was done pretty well, so I do recommend it if you want to read this. So this book had so much hype and it's so beloved by so many people, and I feel like I just had such high expectations for it, and I don't know if it met those expectations really. I do feel like some of the stuff in this is really cool. It's basically a city run by two different families, and both families kind of protect the general public from the monsters in this world. There's 3 different types of monsters. I did write a full review on this on Goodreads if you want to check it out. I do plan on putting up a video on my full thoughts regarding this, but to put it in a nutshell, I wasn't overly super impressed with this book. I do want to read the next one. I will pick it up soon because I think it's a duology. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's only 2 books. But yeah, I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5. I feel like it was good. It wasn't great. Last but not least, the one I fully finished this month is Vengeance Road by Aaron Bowman. I didn't know what I would think going into this because I'm not usually a super big Western fan, but I've just kind of been in that mood lately, and I picked it up, and I'm super glad I did because I ended up enjoying it quite a bit. Basically, this girl's father is murdered by a gang of bad cowboys, I guess you would say. They don't actually call them cowboys, but they're called the Rose Riders.
Outlaws.
Yeah, I guess. And, I mean, they do have, like, bounties on them. So, anyway, but her father's killed, and she goes on a road to, you know, a vengeance road. She goes and tries to avenge her father's death. I feel like there was a lot of good character development. I really liked a lot of the characters. There was good story, good plot, a lot of fun action adventure. So I really recommend this book. I gave it a 4 out of 5, and I wasn't really loving the cover at first, but the more I started reading this, the more it grew on me. And I think the fact that the book itself looks like leather is so, like, Western and cool. But yeah. That's it for my June wrap-up. I did do videos on some of these for, like, a full review. I have reviews on Goodreads if you want to check those out. Let me know what you guys think, if you read any of them, if you agree or disagree with me, and what?
Are you running out of breath? You were just like, you gotta breathe when you talk.
But yeah. On to my July TBR. Oh, by the way, so the only book that I did not read that I said I was going to read is Stalking Jack the Ripper, which is on my TBR for this month, so I might as well just talk about it now. But I did talk about it before. Basically, it's a girl who is into forensic science. She starts looking into the mystery surrounding Jack the Ripper, and she gets, like, really into it. And I think there's a love connection or something going on. I don't really know, don't want to know. I hear good things about it. Can't wait to read it. Clockwork Princess. I finally picked this up after saying for like 3 months that I was going to do it. I'm a little over halfway done, and it's good. I'm liking it probably the best so far out of this trilogy. Maybe I'm crazy, but I don't love this series as much as I love the original Mortal Instruments series. Like, I feel like I'm completely just not normal in that aspect because so many people loved this series more. Maybe the ending of this book is going to totally skew my perception and, you know, I'm going to end up loving this series, but we shall see. I am finally going to finish this soon. So next, I plan on reading Coming Up for Air by Miranda Canali. And I did get an ebook copy of this sent to me for review. It comes out really soon. It comes out, I believe, July 4th, according to Goodreads. But it's basically about a girl who has spent so much of her high school life preparing for the Olympics or trying to get a tryout for the Olympics. She's a swimmer. She has just dedicated everything to that and realized at the last second, basically, that she has had no real high school experience or, like, regular growing up experiences, and decides to go out and kind of like shove it all into one bundle. It sounds fun, like a cute contemporary novel, and did you hear that?
No.
Oh, and I want to pick it up soon.
I just heard you go.
Then I plan on picking up The Gold Sun by Carrie Ann Noble. I got sent this book to review it, and it seems really cool. I hear that it's kind of middle grade, but I don't know. To me, it seems a little more in-depth than something like that would be considered middle grade. So it's basically about a 16-year-old named Tommen who's cursed and he can't stop stealing, and eventually it's going to catch up to him. In comes a suspicious character named Lorcan, and he has a niece, Eve, and basically this guy tricks him and ends up bringing him to the underground world of the leprechauns, and now he's threatened, or not threatened, but he's basically, yeah, his life is threatened into becoming one of them, if that makes sense. I don't think that makes sense.
You can become a leprechaun?
Well, I think he's...
I thought you were born into it.
So he gets whisked into this underground leprechaun world, and I guess Tommen's life gets threatened, and he basically might be doomed to become one, and they are trying to find a cure. It sounds really cool, and it sounds unlike anything that I've really read recently. I mean, it's going to be nice to kind of have a breath of fresh air and have something different and adventurous, so I'm definitely going to pick this one up soon. I then plan on picking up The Waking Land by Callie Bates. I was given an ebook copy of this to read, and it came out already at the end of June, so you should be able to read it too if you want to. But basically, from what I understand, the synopsis is kind of a lot to take in, but from what I get, this girl is devoted to a king who raised her, and he dies. She's forced to go back to her homeland because she's basically accused of his death, but then she finds that she's not really accepted at her homeland right away, but then she's forced to pick a side in some war that's going to happen, and she finds that she has to be against her side that she was once, I don't know. It's so much to take in from the synopsis. I don't really know, but I've heard very mixed things on this book. I hear there are a bunch of people that love it, a bunch of people that hate it, so I'm intrigued to see how I'm going to feel about it. Last but not least, I got Lucky in Love. I got an arc of this. It comes out July 25th. Seems like a really cute contemporary novel about a girl who's really focused and driven and doesn't really do anything out of the norm, and one day she buys a lottery ticket and wins, and she finds out where her allegiances lie, I guess you could say, like who she can trust, who she can't, and she meets a guy who apparently doesn't know anything about her winning, so she's now stuck in this situation where she doesn't know if she should tell him or what's going to happen in their relationship once he does find out. Like I said, it seems like a really cute contemporary novel, and sometimes I'm just in the mood for those. That's it for my wrap-up and TBR. Let me know if you guys are looking forward to reading any of these. Let me know if you have read any of them. Don't forget to like the video if you liked it. Don't forget to check out my Goodreads page. I'll leave the link down below. I keep it updated with what I'm reading, what I'm doing. I do my reviews on there, and just check it out if you want to become friends with me. I will be doing a book haul for the books that I acquired in June, and I'm going to be doing some book reviews coming up, so don't forget to hit the bell next to the subscribe button if you want to check those out. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you next time.